live, installment number 6 of the pregnancy projection conversation. Vladi, thank you so much for being on today's conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a long time since I was pregnant. I'm like, okay, how was it?
Yeah, well, we're just starting the conversation with the pregnancy, but then we saw how widely it applies to so many other areas in life, because pregnancy, it's not really just babies, it's business and bodies and, the future we're looking at. So we're just, starting with this and getting going wherever consciousness leads us.
Yeah.
So the topic of tonight is your child aware? And with that already, we're already just moving from the realm of pregnancy to the one of parenting a bit as well.
Cool.
So where shall we start, Vladi? Do you want to start anything specifically? Anywhere?
Yeah, this was kind of something that was very dear to me to talk about, as children are really aware and they have so much information to share with us, and they are actually contributing to expand our awareness. And when you asked me to join this, I suddenly got, flashes of the past when my kids asked a lot of questions, and my way of not being in allowance of them, I was like, they were just like stressing me out with all the questions that they had, and I would rather have them like be quiet and stop them. And now I'm having conversations about this with my daughter, and we are laughing about it. And I'm also like, would love to inspire young mothers to be patient and allow the kids to talk, because they know a lot. They are small people that know a lot.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny though when you say that, because I don't know, like myself having 3 kids, sometimes like 3 radio all synced on completely different frequencies, that they all just like come to you and they just, I don't know, I like, my kids read a lot, so sometimes it's just a lot of information. It's like, penguin can sneeze up to 200 kilometers per hour, and the other one is telling me something else, and the other one is, and I'm like, guys, great. And I cannot even listen to my thoughts. And I saw that one thing that really worked with like the overwhelm, like not even overwhelmed, but like the demand in their universe and the exuberance as well, is also acknowledging where I am at, and instead of like making them wrong, being like, hey guys, I love, that penguins can sneeze so fast, and all the information you're providing me with. And I might not be at that level of energy right now. And I don't want to, make anyone wrong, but I might not match your level of energy right now. And in just acknowledging that we're on different, let's say, pages in a way, they completely get that, I might be in a completely different situation, area, field of thoughts, whatever that is, and so they can just be excited with someone else or with themselves or whatever on their own, something like that. But I guess that we all had these moments as mom that we are like assaulted by our kids' questions and just thoughts in general.
And this is so beautiful from you, like you are contributing to their growth by encouraging them to communicate freely with you, and you are actually letting them express their thoughts and feelings and acknowledging them. So imagine if all kids had mothers like that. That we appreciate the facts that they have a lot of knowledge, and we are willing to discuss with them, not in that moment, but maybe later when we do have the energy to be a good listener and pay attention to what they say.
Totally. Well, and it's interesting also because in this, well, pregnancy, but also parenting conversations, so often parents or the caregiver in general, they kind of have the tendency to like put themselves out of the equation. Like
Mhm.
it's all about the kids, and then you kind of, I mean, like, if there is time left for you, then yes. Otherwise, screw yourself, which is not really, it's not really um, kind toward
And
yourself.
honoring. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, what would it take to, honor your child's awareness and also maybe acknowledge that you're a child with a ID, with a driving license and a credit card, but still you deserve awareness and kindness and honoring and treating yourself as the most valuable product as well. It is
Yeah.
not something, you're not in service of your kids in any way, shape, or form. Even though this reality kind of enforces that massively on us, but still, you got a different choice.
You absolutely, and you have to also be willing to acknowledge that, you, as you said, you are a valuable product, and um, you are a mother that is being vulnerable with all your choices that are actually made from a space that is not wrong, but that was the best that you could do at the time with the tools that you had at the time, right?
Of
Um,
course.
so I actually, when you asked me to participate in this program, I actually remember my first pregnancy, and it was so fun for me when you asked me the questions, because I remember I wanted to be this perfect mom that knows everything. So I, I was studying everything I could about babies and how much food they require when they are born and at what time and how many I was really insane because I was very young. I was 19 when I got my first kid, when I got my first baby, my first kid. And then I was totally exhausted and honestly exhausted, and I didn't know how to make it. So I was constantly worrying, is he alive? Is he getting enough food? And then with my second child, she came 6.5 years later. I was so laid back. And, and I was allowing her to eat as much as she liked and
Yeah,
to sleep as much as she liked. And it was two totally different universes.
totally.
Yeah, and they also grew up as totally different universes, and it was so fun. And now when I look back at that, I'm like, oh my God, we are so insane sometimes, you
Oh
know?
my gosh,
Yeah.
indeed. When you say that, I so related when I had my first kid, and I just turned 21, so I was quite in that age range. I recall that I was out, like it was a tiny, not I mean 1 week maybe, like a really tiny babe, a newborn, and I was just like sticking my finger under his nose to check that if he was breathing, and a friend of mine that you did that too, like like this, like a crazy person. And it's funny because a friend of mine that just had her baby too, and he was, I don't know, a couple of months elder than Felix. And she was like, oh honey, and she was like with her third baby, and she was like really not worrying at all, and she was like, it's gonna get easier, baby after baby. And then when I had my third kid, I couldn't even remember where he was exactly sleeping, because he was sleeping. So he
Yeah.
was sleeping, everything was fine. If it was in my room or in his brother's room or in the living room, he was sleeping. So,
Yeah,
no
exactly.
worries. And it just, I think that like experience, I mean, even though I don't like the concept of like times, but experience kind of allow us to relax a little bit more into our knowing, because we did all the research and we kind of tested the water and tested us in the water as well. Like I saw that, I mean, there is a physical effort to it. I mean, giving birth, but also like I recall that after giving birth, I wasn't quite rested for a bit. And it felt like my mom was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "It's like I ran like several ski races, and but the time has not come where I can go home and take a shower and really sleep deeply, and then be rested the next day and just jog a little bit, you know." And she was like, "I know, you know."
It is actually a totally different reality when you get kids. This is something that we have to acknowledge and be aware of. That was something that was missing in my awareness when I had my first kid, because I was working in the corporate world and I told my boss that I'm going to be back in 3 months and I'm going to be as ambitious as I was. And then what I realized was that, oh my God, I was doing, like, what was I doing during the day? Changing by there was no time for anything. When you speak about resting, I was tired constantly. I was like, where is all my energy? But
Well, but isn't that also like a freaking phenomenal,
yeah,
like what I saw, I don't know, I saw that even just, well, and I don't know why, but like, but I saw that even giving birth, there was a moment, and I'm just talking about natural birth because that's all I had really. So,
yes,
but like there was a moment where I was like, I don't have breath anymore. Like I cannot push any further. I'm, you know, that's the end line. And then my body showed me what much
possible.
more available there was. And I
Yes,
saw that in having kids and like pregnancy, or you know, Shelly has been a smooth pregnancy, maybe just parenting, and those first months, you have much more than you're giving yourself credit for.
exactly,
And
absolutely. Yeah,
also kind of the universe never gives you anything that you cannot handle. So you're like, oh, still, I slept like shit 1 hour here and 1 hour there and half an hour in between. But I can make it, you know. I still, and it's not necessarily effort and force. And then you kind of ease into, okay, let's get what is available, when is available, and then, you know, let's surf this tide in a way or another.
yeah.
Um, so I was wondering, I love the topic that you chose. Is your child aware? And I was wondering, is there any access tools that you wished you had during your pregnancy? Or
Absolutely.
I love it.
Oh
You're like
my
all of them.
God.
Yes.
All of them. Can I have them now? Absolutely. There are so many, like this one of the greatest tools, asking questions. And also not buying into what everyone told me about children. You know, like I remember, like my son was very, very aware, and he was like they say, you know, before everything. He was walking when he was 10 months, and he was actually speaking fluently before he turned 1 year. So I remember he had some inflammation in the ear, and I was calling the hospital, and they said to me, so I was explaining he's having pain in his ear, and I think, and she was like, how do you know that? And I'm like, he's
Told me.
telling me. He's telling me. And she said, no, he can't speak. And there are so many, because yes, he could speak. He was 10 months, but he could speak sentences. He was he was one of those ex-kids, ex-children, ex-men that we talk about in Access. And I was not aware as a mother about that. So I was actually making him wrong a lot. I really acknowledge that. So I wish I had all the tools and all the knowing that he was a kid who was oversensitive, who was super aware. And I didn't know what to do with all of this, honestly. So I went into wrongness, and all of this conclusions that everybody was giving me, you know, he's like this or he's like that. So it was actually putting the child in a box instead of empowering his capacities. Instead of he was over energetic, And instead of like, wow, this is amazing, this kid has so much energy, what is possible with all of with this, and how can I empower him into all possibilities? So yeah, I wish I had like all the tools, and especially who does this belong to, so that I can return to sender everything that I bought about what is awareness, what is really at a certain age, what the child is supposed to do or not to do. And I wish I wasn't, that I allowed actually my son to just explode into the possibility that he was as a kid. As I say, I was wiser with my daughter because it was 6.5 years in between. So she was gifted that possibility to be as she was, and we all listened to her and allowed her to choose and all of that. She could be like super stubborn with her choices, and we empowered that. And she's still like that today. And she's also very aware today that I love very much. And my son was not allowed to like explode and gift us all of that awareness that he was having, because the form and the structure is in a certain way. So yeah.
What a gift though. I was thinking about like multiple kids and how what a gift it is to like what a gift it is for each one of them to be, you know, the first, the second, the
Yeah.
third, whatever. Because I see that, for example, I have three boys, and my two eldest kids, when they see a baby, they can complete a newborn baby. They do completely relate with the stage of their brother. You know, one of them, their brothers. It was like, oh my gosh, this baby must be like 4. Oh, can you see? And they just, and I see them talking like the two eldest, and they're like, you were exactly the same. Or do you remember Leon? And they just chat like, I don't know, like friends in a way.
Yes. Yes.
And they see, and they're super like grateful that they got to be the eldest brother, and their youngest brother cannot quite like he's starting to have his reality with babies, but he never had babies around because he's the last one. And I see the level of gratitude, and sometimes, you know, the eye roll, the occasional eye roll of like, geez, I'm the eldest one. My second son sometimes come to me and he's like, I don't know what to do with this little brother of mine. He's like a duckling. He follows me anywhere. And I like ducklings. I love him. But Jesus, I want to stay, you know, I cannot stand him chatting all the time, because my youngest son is just a chatterbox, really, you know. So what a gift it is to be also the one that I don't know, and so energetic, you know, that goes and then allow you to I don't know, like trigger all the conclusion and the point of view you have, and be like, hey, it's gotta be, you know, we need to change something. And your daughter got a completely different mom in a way
Yeah.
that was not so, uh, you know, triggered by the standards of this reality, but way more into like, okay, what do I know? What will work? Empowering, etc.
Exactly. And as I said, we still have that relationship. She's 35 now, and she's acknowledging that, Mom, you are so amazing because you are so empowering. And I'm like, okay, I do have to. My gratitude goes to her brother, because I learned, you know, he taught me a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
really, I wish I had the tools to ask questions and actually not to project so much. The projections that we have of our kids relate so much to our own ambitious many times. You know,
Oh
we want
yeah.
them to grow up in a certain way instead, and maybe to become something. That is a lot of questions that we ask our kids, instead of allowing them to choose and empowering them for all the gifts that they are showing us that they actually have. I mean, really, sometimes I think, imagine if we could all empower our kids with the gifts that they are showing us and say, wow, okay, choose it, go for it.
Exactly.
Right?
It is magical the way they do create their reality in the end.
Yeah.
I just my kids right now, I'm the worst mother, you must know, but they're 1 month and a half in Argentina with their biological dad, and it was like interesting choosing that, because it was like, oh my gosh, like we had some interesting experiences, and there was a lot of kind of recovery involved when they came back, and it was like, and then I asked them, and it was like, okay, your choice creates, do you want to go? And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, we do want to go. And I was like, okay, then let's buy those tickets. And off they went. And it's interesting, because even though it was challenging for me, they went with the lightest of the earth and heart, and like be like, boop, let's go and
You
open an
see, so you
adventure.
actually empowered their awareness, right? You asked them, they said, yes, we want to go. There was a knowing behind it that this will create and give them an experience for the future to come, right?
Mhm.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's challenging and wonderful.
Yes.
But let's go for that.
Yeah.
Of course. And actually it is I haven't quite yet found a word that is not consequences, but like really putting into a tangible way that your choice creates. And I see that like they do all have very different interests and very different things they love. My youngest son is extremely I don't know, like medical oriented, like he loves
Okay.
everything the body.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he loves, but I don't know if even if what it is, but he just loves to know how things are made inside and how they work. And I mean, it just, it's, it's a typical trait of some autistic people that then it makes sense, somehow. And there were periods where he was saying, I don't know, I'm not eating milk, I'm not drinking milk, or I'm not eating, I don't know, chocolate, or I'm just gonna eat orange stuff because that's what my body requires. And it was like, okay, go for it. And it was not like I'm just eating sweets or ice cream. It was more like I won't eat that for a bit because I know my body requires that. And he was very, very young. And he would, I don't know, make himself quinoa, which was like, okay, sure. I mean, yeah, do whatever. And I wonder, what if we treated them and treated ourselves a little bit more like little animals and organism of consciousness that spontaneously know what is required, just like dogs or cats that eat the grass because they need to, I don't know, vomit, and then it's going to help their whole system to feel better. They do know. So what are the so you said that with your daughter, like you were all very like happy and like, go for it, go explore, etc., etc. Were there any challenges that you faced in allowing them to know what to her, in this case, to know what she knows for you as a parent? Because we don't want to left the parents out.
Yeah, but of course, I mean, in a way, there is this controlling thing as a mom. If you recognize that, you are
I
laughing.
cannot relate to that at all.
Exactly. And, to just be out of control and trust, that was my biggest challenge, actually, because my son grew up and he was doing drugs. So that was very challenging and difficult for me. I went through, it was many, many years of living in this control, that believing that I can control something, but I can't. And this is why I say he was my biggest teacher. And I'm so grateful for everything that he actually gifted me as a mother. And my daughter is the opposite, like the perfect student, MBA degree from the University of California, blah, 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 all of that. And it was still my biggest challenge to let go of control. So I've been really working with I'm happy that Access came into my life 12 years ago. So, the process that we have, what energy, space, consciousness, choice can I be to be out of control, out of definition, out of linearities, concentricities, that is something that I'm using still a lot. And I use that a lot. And I became calmer and more peaceful and in allowance. And she is acknowledging that. And she is acknowledging that a lot. She says, Mom, the tools has changed you so much. Because, from she's 35 and I found the Access 12 years ago. So she has been on this journey with me, and she has noticed this big change where I can be in allowance and out of control. So actually my tool for mothers and fathers that are watching this program of yours, I would love to share that and ask you, please know that letting go of control is the biggest gift that you can be to your kid, because then you are empowering them actually to know that they have choice. As you now talked about your kids, you asked them, would you like to go? And they said yes. So this is the challenge where you allow your kids to make a choice and to know that everything is going to be okay, because they are engaged and they have a choice on this journey. So yeah.
I was wondering, I love this control conversation. I was wondering if, what's your take on that? Is it a thing that is has been kind of dynamically passed down from one, generation to the other? The idea that you need to control? Or is it something more instinctive that we do? Because I don't see animals. I do relate to nature a lot. When I smell insanity, I just go back to nature. I'm like, do birds do that? Do kangaroo do that? Just for the sake of double checking. And so I wonder, because this control is something that it's almost taken as a granted thing, like that's how it goes, where maybe not necessarily, maybe we have other choices, like you're saying,
so I have a sense that it is more connected to our own insecurity, that control thing, that again, it's trusting you that everything is going to be okay no matter what. And when you have that presence and that trust, so it's okay, you go back to nature. For me, that was something that I had to experience, develop, and work with. It didn't came for me like, I really had to work with that to let go of control, and not only with my kids, but and I'm still working with that, how can I relax into this? How can I relax into this situation and trust that everything is going to be okay? That is actually a tool that I'm using a lot, also in my business, with my creations, with the money, with everything. Because I noticed and I learned with 13 years of facilitating bodies, people, that the more I can trust and relax, the easier my life shows up, and happier, everyone else is around me happier, including my daughter. Okay. Yeah.
I love it. It's like, if that's not enough, everyone is happy too. So, relax and receive, for God's sake.
Yeah. And you have to work on that. I'm sorry. We live in a world that is very stressful. And I mean, just by watching the news or opening the newspaper, you will get some kind of signals that you have to stress about something, which makes us, many of us, automatically turn on the automatic pilot of the mind. And this is our biggest enemy, the mind, because mind believes that we have to be in control or control everything. And that's actually not control. So, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever tool that you have, just use it. If it is going to nature or meditation or yoga or access tools, I am empowering people actually to use what they have and to let go and relax. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a PTSD stimulant reality we live in. That
Yes,
is
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
kind of crazy. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this chat.
Thank you.
I wonder, it's always weird. I mean, it's always unpredictable, not weird. Well, weird as well, but like where those conversations go. And I'm so grateful that we can, ask some question and hopefully shed some light on the pregnancy word and realm as well, because access tools do really apply in each and every area that you choose to use them. They do not require to believe in anything. They do require you to get back in touch with trusting you and
Yes.
trusting that and you're the expert, and whatever presents itself in this life, in your life, you created it, and you can handle it, and you can change if it doesn't work, or you can keep it and exponentialize it, whatever float your boat.
And please include your body. Ask your body
Absolutely.
questions, include your body, and the trust comes from you including the body in everything. Yes.
Yes, and it is such a gift that the access consciousness conversation includes that as well, because
Yes.
many, I don't know, I haven't been before having nature as an option. It was very much movement, like sport for me. So I was keeping myself sane of mind with
Mhm.
movement. But like so many techniques kind of treat the body as this thing that you need to carry on, but not necessarily giving it any credit or acknowledging any awareness on its side, or just like trusting the signals that our body gives us. And access as a completely different take. So whatever you do, there is this organism of consciousness that you can relate back to all the time, which is also like such a valuable team member in a way, and best friend in creating your life, that is your body. So thank you for mentioning him or
Thank
her.
you.
It is a yummy thing. So Vladica, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I'm gonna post the details where people can find you down here,
Thank you.
and we're gonna send a replay. And tomorrow we're off for our last pregnancy projection interview. And so thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, everything. Evening.
Yeah.
Bye. Ciao.
Ciao Vladica, bye.
Bye.